Those of you who helped Chris with his campaign, those of you who know Chris personally, know what a people person Chris is. So you know he legitimately wishes he could have been here and seen everyone today. But I got the phone call, I want to say Thursday night, basically just asking me if I could come up here and speak to you guys about UCF, the United Conservative Fund. Tell you a little bit about what we're doing, tell you a little bit about what we stand for, those things. I am a member. By that means I am a paying member. I'm not on the board. Laurie, I believe you're on the executive committee. So I am a paying member. I have been since informed. I always joke with Chris, I gave him the form before anybody else. So that was one of those things that I was happy to do. The United Conservative Fund, of course, adheres to three tenets. And these are the three core tenets. Decentralized authority. Government must be limited so liberty can thrive. Federalism. Pursuant to our Constitution, all powers not delegated to the federal government belong to the state and the people. And the last one, adherence to a high moral tone. Society is best served by volunteerism, capitalism, and the free markets. Now, those are three core tenets that we can agree on. I've heard a lot of people talk about how, this whole event that Laura and them put together is basically for us to focus on those things we can agree on and move past some of the things that we may disagree with. You may be big on one issue. I may not be as big on that issue. But we can find those commonalities, and we can focus on those and work together. Unity amongst our groups is how we're going to survive. Unity amongst our groups is how we're going to move forward throughout this. The date, June 24, 2014. Everybody in this audience knows the significance of that date. That was the date that the runoff election was stolen from us. And I don't care how many ways you can say it, we won that race.
Yeah, that's right.
We won that race. But we know what they did. But out of the ashes of that, Chris and them got to thinking, and they came up with this concept of the United Conservative Fund. And through this concept, it's going to give us a little bit of muscle, but it's going to take people getting involved. It's going to take people becoming members. It's going to take involvement. Now, what has UCF done recently? Well, you've already heard people talk about the Common Core battle and the battle to veto 2161. That battle, of course, as you said, Randy, was instrumental. But UCF was right behind that, helping, hammering on social media, being a champion of the cause that we needed to. It was through UCF that the phone numbers to the governor's office was given out. It also was through UCF that we had members that might have a little bit more of the governor's ear that could help say, we've got your back. If you go through this veto, we got your back. And let me be very clear about something too, guys. Come January, don't think that 2161 is dead, because they can fight to override the governor's veto when the new legislative session begins. So UCF's going to be standing in that fight too, to make sure that legislatures know that we won't stand for them to override that veto. So don't give up. Don't think that, yes, we won, and it's high fives all around because we won that battle. But don't think that the war is won on that issue, because it's not. Quite frankly, I don't think that they will override the veto, but you need to be calling your senator, you need to be calling your representative and making sure they know that we have to stand up, that they have to stand up because we're watching their vote. And if they do vote to override that veto, we will hold them accountable, and don't think that our memories are so short-served that 4 years later we won't get you out. Bottom line, folks, is UCF is working behind the scenes too and helping some candidates. UCF, one of the big pushes right now is a ballot initiative, which is relevant considering Dick just was talking about a couple of ballot initiatives. But on April 20th, UCF was successful in getting a ballot initiative started for term limits in the state of Mississippi. Which I know, Dick, I heard you mention that, and when I said, I was like, that's perfect. He's leading into me. We didn't even talk beforehand. Perfectly set me up there. But yes, term limits in our state. You know, the governor has term limits. He can only serve 2 terms. The lieutenant governor. Why do our legislature? Why can they serve for the remainder of their life? As long as they win an election, they get to be your senator, your representative. And what happens too is good folks who stand up and run, they end up facing the machine. A machine that is rigged against them because it's a machine that is there to help protect the incumbent in most cases. Wouldn't it be nice if we knew every 2 years we're at least going to get a clean slate? That every 2 years that candidate that stands up and decides I want to challenge has a realistic opportunity? Because instead of that candidate facing the guy who's been there for 30 years, he's facing a blank slate. I think it's a positive step for Mississippi, and as things move forward, we'll need your help with that. Coming soon, there will be petitions that we're going to have to get the signatures. Because again, we've got the initiative starting, but we're not there yet, so we're going to need each and everyone's help in getting the proper signatures so we can get the term limits on the ballot. And I can promise you this isn't going to be like some of the ones that Bill and them were just talking about, where it's going to be shady. It's going to be clear cut. It's going to be, if you do this, they can serve X amount of times and can't run for that same office again. Maybe then we can cut the cord. Maybe then we might actually have a shot at taking back our state. We all want to take back our country. But based on what we saw last year in that Senate race, we need to take back our state, folks. I mean, I've heard countless tales today about how sickened they were by this. And let me tell you too, as somebody who wasn't just somebody helping Chris try to win an election, but a close friend of Chris. I consider Chris a brother. You know, he is a brother to me. And to watch him have to go through that, to see the hardship on his family having to go through that, the negativity, the attacks that they laid out on him, the names that they called him. Heck, the names they called people like Laura just because she was involved helping Chris. It's ridiculous. But things like this can help cut that off. And of course, there's some brochures out front. If you guys aren't familiar with UCF, I encourage you to pick up one of these brochures that are laying on the front desk. It should give you a little bit more information about it. And that basically can help you guys understand and get involved and become a member. This is a member-driven organization. That's what's going to make us different from some of the other PACs that you guys are familiar with. And by your involvement, we can make a difference in our state. Thank you.